How's it going, everyone? Jude here from LMR.com. We're going to be talking about the Mustang GTD. Now, I know most people are pretty much aware of the car, the specs, the details, and all of that stuff. Today, I'm going to be talking about kind of my perspective of not only seeing it in person, but given the chance to go for a ride in it around the track at decent speeds as well. So at the time of this video, we were in Hastings, Nebraska for Mustang Roundup and Fast Fords. At this event, this is specifically for Mustangs and guys that pretty much love to go fast around the track. We had a bunch of cars that we brought with us, including the Dark Horse Mustang that's behind me here. We had our yellow 5.0 and a few other S550s and S197s out there at the track with us. A lot of these guys are LMR employees. We all share the same passion for not only the cars, but to race them and go fast. While we were there, Todd Soderquist from Ford Performance, I guess now Ford Racing, he gave everyone there the opportunity to check out the car, look at it, check out the engine bay.
Dude, move that Laguna Seca real quick.
We gotta hold the steering wheel. What do y'all want from Whataburger? Hey, what do y'all want from Whataburger?
And he took it on the track to really show what it's made of. This 2.1 mile track is awesome, gets the job done, super fast, super twisty, a lot of fun for us. He took it out there, let everyone see that this isn't just a Cars and Coffee show prop and how effective it is around the track. Friday night, he had a kind of a small group gathering of everyone there at the event. Gave us a very close and personal, I guess, design perspective of his. Todd did have a couple key points that were super interesting to hear about the car. He told us that function over design is the key factor with this car. Most of the people that are in charge and working on this project, they had their primary focus on not really of how the car looked, but more or less how it performed on the track.
So the design of the car is all about function. The proportion is very traditional American muscle car. Wide stance, not only for dynamics, but it's part of the menacing appearance. Everything flows from the dynamic needs to functional aerodynamics.
He made a lot of mentions about the Nürburgring time. That first sub 7 minute time was actually a test run that they decided to go out and get knocked out because it was towards the end of the season at Nürburgring. They ended up using that time just because of it was their last and only option for Nürburgring times with the GTD. They came back and they got that 6:52 lap time, which again, Corvette came back later. They showed up, had a way faster time than the GTD. He did make mention that Jim Farley, all those guys, they have plans to take on the Corvette and make the GTD even better than ever and go back to the Nürburgring.
The first time that was set met the objective of being less than 7 minutes, but that was actually a test run that nobody was actually planning on having. So that became the actual record-breaking time. Didn't meet our expectations for what the capability of the car were based on simulation runs. So we knew we would eventually go back and try to get the conditions again to improve, which then resulted in the 6:52 time. Everybody says the competition improves the entire product line, right? The fact that GM is taking Corvette there and actually run, they had a faster car. So that means I have an excuse to try and go make another faster car.
Most people have seen the GTD, they've seen how it performs. One of the things I looked forward to was actually seeing the suspension on that car in person in real life. You have that plexiglass, that window design where you can actually see the full suspension back there. And he told us that this was actually by accident. Whenever they went to the drawing board, they had to mount the suspension sideways because of how wide the rear tires and the rear wheels were. They had all this area that they needed to be able to get in there and actually service the suspension. If you own a Mustang, you take out the rear seats, you have that access panel go into the trunk of the car. Most of the underside of the car, I guess you could say chassis of the car, is a Mustang base. Instead of blocking off that panel, they had to make some way accessible. Pretty much, let's put a clear plexiglass in to not only service it, but also show off the suspension. It wasn't designed to be that way. It's honestly super cool to see at the track as you're driving along.
The nice thing is you've got a nice little plexiglass window in there to see that trick suspension. It was kind of an accident in the end. It was there because we needed to add the structure for body stiffness to close out that opening that's on Mustangs today because there's a pass-through from the trunk to the rear seat. We wanted to close that off and actually make the body stiffer, and we needed a way to open it up to service the suspension. So two functional requirements ended up driving this great plastic window through a discussion with the studio as we were asking them to help us design the surface for that. And then we told them, oh, by the way, it has to be movable. And they said, oh, well, why don't we just make it see-through? Because that would be awesome, because look what's behind it. Again, because we have really passionate people that actually go race, the studio design director understood what jewelry these massive, complex suspension systems really are.
with that suspension, pretty much there's two settings, 50mm difference in ride height. You put it into race mode, it lowers the entire car. But the way how he described it is you pretty much have two suspension settings built into one system. Insane technology advances that are just wild to me to see.
As the variable ride height changes by 50mm, 2 inches, those horizontal spring packages actually are on two motors that will compress one of the springs, taking it out of the loop, completely changing the dynamics of the vehicle as it's loading. So you're changing spring rates and damping rates for the vehicle, and you effectively got two completely different vehicle suspension setups.
The engine in that car is pretty much the same as that thing that you find in the GT500, but with the GT500 has less power than the GTD. Now, why is that? He told us not only because of the dry sump system, but also a newer developed intake system for the GTD. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that Todd didn't touch on, things that might not be available to the public, but there's a lot of extra features that were put into the GTD to make it faster, perform way higher than any other Mustang ever been developed. Another really cool feature that, I don't know, this is probably not the craziest or coolest thing, when it came to emissions and everything, when you start up the car, the air induction system is forced to the back two cylinders of the car, which pretty much pre-fires the catalytic converters on it to get them hot and ready to go. I'm assuming, like he mentioned, with emission requirements and all sorts of things like that. Cool feature, not really talked about, but it's something that they had to do when designing this car. Todd had the car out there at the track, and luckily for us, since it wasn't a huge crowd, we asked him, we were like, hey, how would you feel about taking the GTD out with our same team? We had some Garmin's set up in the car with cameras. I don't know, see if we can get it in front of us and race against the car. And he was like, sure, why not? We were like, hell yeah, that's awesome. I took the chance to ask, can I get a ride along? And he was like, hop in. Going to the next couple of clips of everything that we have, I've got shots from inside the car. Landon also chased the GTD in the yellow 5.0. And then he was actually able to pass by it as well on the straight. Let us know what you think. Try to put as much stuff in there for y'all to enjoy. Catch y'all back in a little bit. All right, everyone, that's going to be it for today's video. Really just wanted to share my experience of being around the GTD, riding in the car, and just checking it out for the first time. Want to give a big thanks to Todd over at Ford Racing for giving me this opportunity to sit in the car and ride with him around the track. And a big shout out to Jeff Lucina, him and his team, for giving us the chance to come out there and race a lot of our different Mustangs. Those guys are great. We felt welcomed and had a phenomenal time at the track. But other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And for all things Mustangs, keep it right here with the real enthusiast, LMR.com.